It's Monday. It's time for Inside LAFC podcast. Glad you could join us here every week, 12:30 Pacific time, bright and early, just a little bit after 4 in Korea. And for everyone joining us on all ports of call, coast to coast, country to country, thanks for taking some time with you. Come on into the comment section. You're all welcome. Put your thoughts, your questions, your concerns, your complaints into there, and we will discuss. Hello, Joe. Hello from Korea. Hello, Ruben, who is in London. Fantastic. I am Max Bretos. This is the international window, and there were some MLS games this week, and you should go check them out. Some good stuff there. But by and large, including LAFC, clubs had the week off. It doesn't mean all the players were, and we're going to talk about what has been going on. Some really interesting stuff with LAFC players with their national teams, home and abroad. We'll get to all of that. A reminder to please like the video. Go ahead and do it right now if you're here. Like UB, you're coming a little heavy-handed, Lord Bretos. We can never use that moniker again. Like the video, subscribe to LAFC YouTube and Facebook. Hello to our audiences in both. In a few minutes, we'll be joined by David Goss of Soccer Wise. You'll remember David as well from Extra Time Radio, the very popular podcast covering all things MLS. He was there at Sports Illustrated Stadium in New Jersey to see our son Heung-Min and South Korea take on the United States. This is probably going to be the only podcast in the U.S. where we're going to put a good light on that game, because obviously a very disappointing result for the U.S., and I'm sure you've heard ad nauseum about it. Our Korean fans, congratulations. Also already qualified for the World Cup. They were undefeated in 10 Asian qualifying games. Korea's made it to 11 straight World Cups. Let's hear it for that. Fantastic stuff. 11 straight, including 2002 when they hosted with Japan. Japan made it to the round of 16, but Korea made it to the semifinals. Korea, it's 4:32 a.m. thanks to some of our listeners there. If you leave a comment and you're in Korea, we will be able to translate it via our YouTube apparatus. Already seen it. Please support Korean subtitles. We have the subtitles there. I also want to mention, and this doesn't help the folks in Korea, but I'm sure some good news coming your way. We didn't talk about it last week, but we have a new radio partner, KYPA, 12:30 a.m. Started this a week ago for the LAFC San Diego FC game. You can hear all of the LAFC games in Los Angeles in Korean. Join our friends Lee Hyun-jun, Park Kyung-gu, two great sports guys as they broadcast LAFC games for the remainder of the season. We'll see what goes on for that. So some great news there. I'm going to pop in there to see what's being said in addition to please support Korean subtitles. Congratulations, Korea fans, from Brian in Korea. Yes, excellent stuff. So we're just getting started. And again, we have a very special guest in a little bit. And we're going to talk about Sung Heung-Min and Korea in that game. But we're going to get into the LAFC internationals. Good stuff, man. There was a time when I used to cover MLS in the dawn of the Ice Age, or however old we can make it sound, where you could count on two hands the amount of MLS players going to the World Cup. It's going to be triple digits. It's going to be more than that. De Koog's already jumping the gun here. Who knew that the Prince of Van Nuys, I like that for Nathan Ordaz, could take corners like that? Speaking of Nathan Ordaz, I broadcast the LAFC San Diego FC game, and someone in the comments said that they have a nickname in Korea for Nate. They call him Uridas, which means our Daz. So Nate Uridas. Very catchy. I love it. Please tell me if I said that correctly. Ellie, I need Korean subtitles. We're trying to break the internet to get that on a live podcast, but we will certainly, you can listen to this in entirety with subtitles there. Just go to your YouTube or Facebook settings. So Uridas it is, Nate Ordaz. I'll start with him because actually El Salvador play tonight at home against Suriname. So CONCACAF World Cup qualifying. And I'm looking at LAFC could have Son Heung-Min's going to be at the World Cup. Mathieu Choinière probably is very, very close because Canada's qualified. He just has to get on that roster. Sonny is a no doubter. So you have two. I think there's the possibility of having four maybe 5 or 6. A lot of things will have to fall into place, and I will go through with them. That is unbelievable. Remember back in 2018, we had Carlos Vela. He scored the goal for Mexico. And in 2022, some percolations, but nothing quite like this. And have a front-facing guy like Heung-Min representing Korea in the United States at a World Cup is wonderful for us here at LAFC. So Nathan Ordaz had the assist on El Salvador's game-winning goal in Guatemala. Remember, Guatemala was in the semifinals of the Gold Cup, so a huge win between Central American rivals. Nate and El Salvador will play Suriname. We're a very good team. I know they don't have much of a pedigree, but they're getting a lot of good players from the Netherlands. And Geraldo Becker is on that team, who's a real star. I believe he's not in the Bundesliga anymore, but this is a really top talent. And if they can win at home, which I think people feel they can, they get 6 points out of 2. El Salvador is in really good shape to get back to the World Cup for the first time since 1982. The favorite in that group is Panama, who tied Suriname in the first game. So Panama and Suriname and Guatemala are already playing catch-up. So if El Salvador can start 2 wins out of 2 and you have 6 games total, Salvador, man, I like their chances. Even if they finish first in the group, they qualify. If they finish second, they get another opportunity in the next stage of qualifying. Some Marlin rumors. I don't know. I don't know what those are. I'll have to take a look. We shall see. So Marlon, our former defender, who's alone ran out here. Someone said spotted in Los Angeles. Everyone spotted in Los Angeles. Jesus Murillo was in Los Angeles last week. Everyone loves our great city. We all certainly understand that. Nate, shout out to me. Thanks for the hard work and devotion, making the work week that much better. I hope you guys can take some time with us here every Monday. I love doing the show. I love connecting. I swear I count the days, I count the minutes. Someone here, LA so cute. Nathan Ordaz assisted in El Salvador. That's right. We're talking about it. Someone said the subtitles are ready. Go to Chrome. We will take a look at that. Field Green in Korea joining us. And yes, Brian C., congratulations to Korea on their 11th World Cup. Truly a remarkable achievement. So we talked about Nathan Ordaz. Next up, Denny Bwanga, who I was going to start with. Because after the game on Sunday against San Diego FC, he boarded a plane to the Seychelles, which is an island east of Madagascar, which is an island east of mainland Africa. It is, I don't know how to describe it, really as isolated as you get. Beautiful place to visit, I am told. I think flying, it's going to take you somewhere in the 13, 14 hours to get there because you have to connect a little bit. They say with air miles, it's 11,000 miles. So the quickest you can get is 11,000 miles. It's insane. Got to the Seychelles. Well, I understand. They are not Morocco. Scored a hat trick. So Gabon, who have never qualified for the World Cup, are now 1 point behind the Ivory Coast. Those two teams play tomorrow, noon Pacific time, mind you, if you can get the stream somewhere, in Gabon. And if Gabon win that, they'll go into first place. There'll be 2 games left against Gambia and Burundi. And if Gabon win this game, the odds makers will have them with the best chances of making the World Cup. If they finish second to the Ivory Coast, they'll get another shot. Stephen Acosta, does anyone play today? Yes, El Salvador. And then we'll talk about South Korea. They play tomorrow against Mexico in Nashville. So there's some South American qualifier games. I'm going to get to that too with Venezuela, how it applies to David Martinez, who have the biggest game in possibly Venezuelan soccer history. That is also tomorrow. So more games tomorrow, and then Wednesday, Thursday, then everyone comes back to their clubs. So Denny Bwanga producing and closing in on a historic result for Gabon. Ivory Coast is really good. Beating them even at home is going to be heavy, heavy lifting. But they've put themselves in that position. A lot of countries like Nigeria are already kind of out of it, and Gabon are there. So we wish Denny the very, very best. Mathieu Choinière, playing for Canada, who have already qualified it. Canada beat Romania 3-0. Canada plays Wales tomorrow. Mathieu he dressed, but he did not get off the bench, which means he probably gets some minutes in the game tomorrow because we know Jesse Marsch likes him. And Mathieu, we've spoken to him. He is completely locked in on being part of that. And what would it mean? He told us he's from a very small village in Quebec. And the idea of someone from a town like that making a World Cup is phenomenal. Some of the comments here from one of our Korean listeners. It's good to study English. Why not? And I'm going to brush up on my Korean, although I've said that every week and I haven't. Yoon again. Wow. I don't know for what, but maybe I think the wow is for Nathan Ordaz. Brian C saying, this is Max Bretos, the reporter. Okay, so I've been identified. Sonny is right in the Mexican War, Yoon. Yeah, he's going to be playing Mexico. That's going to be phenomenal. Korean kids, stop being so nationalistic. Why? What's the problem with that? You got to support your national team. Getting some great comments there. Is that your name? Up to Max, up to Bretos? That's me. That's me. I want to come to Korea. You can show us around whenever we go to Korea. We know we'll have our opportunity at some point while Son Heung-Min is here. Sun Heung-Min is full of nationalism. I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to get back to the national team because David Goss of Soccer Wise will be joining us. He was at the game at Sports Illustrated Stadium in New Jersey. There's a moment where Son Heung-Min, captain's armband, handed off to Kim Min-jae, who by all accounts, maybe the best defender ever to come out of Korea. Plays at Bayern. Not playing a lot yet, but he does play a lot. Puts the armband on Kim Min-jae. And Kim Min-jae is no young player now. He's a guy who's seen it all, won trophies. He got really giddy and excited, had his arm out at Son Heung-Min, and they had a little conversation. It would have been nice to hear what was said. But I just saw that, and I was very envious of the Korean national team. I felt that pride through that. I pull for Korea. My wife's Korean. My mother-in-law lives with us. She's Korean. My son is half Korean. And we woke up really early for the Qatar World Cup games together to watch them. And right now it doesn't look good for the U.S. So it looks like I might put some more chips in the South. USA first and foremost. I'm just making that abundantly clear. But I saw that moment with the captain's armband, and it was wonderful. So fantastic. We'll talk about Son as well because he's obviously why many of you are here. So Nate Ordaz looking good. Danny Buanga looking good. Matthew Chouanier didn't play. We want to give a big shout out to Adrian Wibowo, who is part of the LAFC Academy. Today, and someone asked if there's any games today. Early in the morning, Indonesia, which is very far away. I've been there once to Bali. It's a 15-hour trip. Played Lebanon, scoreless. That was a friendly. Indonesia was in Asian World Cup qualifying with Korea. So he makes his debut, and apparently it was in his father's hometown. He played 30 minutes for the Garuda. If there's anyone from Indonesia tuning in, let's hear from you. We have some great Indonesian content. We want to take care of the fan bases. So we have Gabon, Indonesia, Korea, Canada, Venezuela, Ireland, Scotland, all part of our team. We look after our players and their best interests. So congratulations to Adrian Wibowo. You've got to see the traffic this is creating. Indonesia, which has got a huge population, are over the moon. Because Indonesia, while they have not qualified for the World Cup, and it's a long shot that they make it, they're going to go to round 4, which is with Saudi Arabia and Iraq. If they win that group, highly unlikely. The Saudis are very good, as are Iraq. They qualify. If they finish second, they go to round 5. So there's a chance to get Adrian and Indonesia into the World Cup. Let's go to some of the comments here. I love you guys go after it. I've always say that. But you're so talented, Max. Thank you. Oh, Juan Min-jae's name changed to Kim Min-jae. Did I say that incorrectly? I apologize. I'm trying. I'm watching it with my mother-in-law is what I said. So there you go. They say your mother-in-law is Korean. Correct. So we'll get to the bottom. Our Korean audience is helping each other with the translation. Is that a beautiful thing or not? This is Inside LAFC Podcast. We're live every Monday on LAFC YouTube and LAFC Facebook. Like the video, hit the thumb, subscribe to the channel, and have that discourse. We have a comment section open, and we encourage you to leave comments, questions, requests, complaints, compliments, if you care. So finally, before we get to Son Heung-Min, Venezuela play Colombia tomorrow at 4:30. A win for Venezuela secures 7th place and a place into the confederational playoffs, which I think they will do well in. If they get 7th, my guess is Venezuela will qualify for the World Cup for the first time. David Martinez was going to get called into that, picked up an injury against San Diego. So he's not going to be there. But if Venezuela gets in, which I think they have a good shot, I'm going to put Venezuela's hopes at 60% for the Vino Tito fans. If you're here for Venezuela, I don't want to curse you. I've done that in the past. I apologize. I'm pulling for you guys. David Martinez would potentially find a way back on that team. So there you have it. You have all these guys doing well, hoping to get a door into the World Cup. Let's look at the comments. Raquel Lee, reason to wake up on Monday. I hope you're not on the East Coast and getting up at 3, but if that's different strokes for different folks, wherever you are, thank you for your listenership. Getting a lot of great comments here from our Korean audience. Let's see what we got. Today, Korea versus Mexico. Our Korean friends helping map out this is Field Green. That's the name of the account. Today, Korea versus Mexico. It's today, I think, in Korea. It's tomorrow for us here. Nashville, Tennessee. It is this sounds like may have been AI, but good job anyway for helping out our audience. Geodis Park, the largest soccer-specific stadium. All seats are designed close to the pitch. 30,000 seats in Nashville, one of the newest stadiums. What is this man's name? I think you're talking to me. Max Bretos. Good to meet you. You understand Korean? No, all of a sudden? I'm trying. I'm just reading the comments. Give me a break. I'm getting there. If I go there, I will immerse myself into it. The biggest stadium. Someone asked, is Geodis Park the biggest stadium? It's the biggest soccer-specific stadium. So the biggest MLS stadium. It's not used for football like Atlanta or Seattle. It is the biggest. So all our Korean fans are getting locked in there. Let's talk about Sonny. And David Goss was at the game. He should be joining us. We will talk to him about being there and what his thoughts were about what happened. First of all, I want to mention Son Heung-Min, in the short time he's been in the U.S., has already been to Chicago with LAFC, New England, the Boston area, another big city. Hasn't had a chance to explore these places, mind you, because he's going for games. Dallas, obviously Los Angeles, where he's settling in, had family in town. Hats off to our Korean media that's been there to cover it. It's been so exciting. BMO Stadium's media area, media hallway has been packed. It's just been, the game against San Diego was unbelievable. Just energy emanating from that place. And we can't wait to be back home again. LAFC is on the road this Saturday in San Jose. It's a short road trip. It's going to be special. We're going to preview that as well. So Son Heung-Min taking America. He is going to be he's going to be in the San Francisco area with LAFC next week. It's Santa Clara is where Levi Stadium is. The Earthquakes play in nearby San Jose. Oakland and San Francisco is just above it. Another big area, Silicon Valley. And then I forgot to mention he was in New York, New Jersey for Korea against the United States. If you're on the United States, we are in a moment of mourning. We're hosting the World Cup, something Korea has done in 2002. There is so much excitement. We're 9 months away, and the excitement is because our team is not very good. We have Mauricio Pochettino, who used to coach Son Heung-Min there at Tottenham Hotspur. Things aren't going well. Our top players aren't getting called in for whatever reason. Our depth is being tested, and we're losing game after losing game, including against South Korea. Son Heung-Min scoring a goal, and then he would assist on the second goal to Lee Dong-jung. So he was all over the place. He was excellent, which we aren't surprised. But the United States, so here in the U.S., everyone is mourning. But we're going to be talking about South Korea here. This is a great moment, qualified for the World Cup. Lee Kang-in, arguably Korea's second best player. Can we say that? Would we agree, the audience here? He was on the bench. Who's bullying Max? Brian C., I'm going to the game with San Jose this weekend. Great idea. It's going to be an event, no doubt about it. Talking about some, I can't wait to watch him play for the first time. You're going to love it. And one of the big things that happened in this game in New York, New Jersey at Sports Illustrated Stadium, the home of the Red Bulls, is it was a Korean takeover. It was loud from what we were told. It was Korean shirts, Korean flags. LAFC shirts could be seen as well. So this was a big event. And I worry from the U.S. perspective, if they didn't play Korea, they play Japan coming up tomorrow in Columbus. They didn't play Korea, the stadium could have been pretty empty. They are relinquishing home field to the visiting fans, but that's great. And it's great to serve the South Korean fans. We're not going to bum you down with all of this. Korea win the game. They were a better team. They deserved it. And our guy Sung Heung-Min all over it. Bonifer saying he's already seen more of America than a lot of Americans. Okay, so let's talk about it with a man who was there at Sports Illustrated Stadium in his home state of New Jersey. You can hear him on Soccer Wise. It is David Goss. There's that smiling face. Can you hear me okay, David?
I can hear you great. I almost was going to correct you when you said Sports Illustrated Stadium, but I realize you're being fully professional, so we can't call it Red Bull Arena all the time.
Do you still call it Red Bull Arena?
Tyler Adams last week in an interview said, I will only call it Red Bull Arena. And if it's good enough for Tyler, then it's good enough for me.
It's hard. That was a tough one. That's when they, some stadiums like we have Staples Center here.
I was going to say.
.com.
Yeah.
It's still, the process is going through. Whatever we call the stadium, David, you would remember him from Extra Time Radio, covers MLS. I can ask him anything, he'll have an answer. How would you describe that atmosphere in that game with Korea?
Top notch, not for US, but top notch. It was that building. And I know you've been there a lot of times. That building, when it's good, is great. Like Red Bulls, the sad part is they can't fill the building. They can't get that atmosphere that often. And I was kind of going through a list with people. I was there for the opening game. They played Santos 15 years ago. Neymar actually played in the first ever game. Gonzo as well.
Wow.
Like it jumped, it bounced. And when they are able to get there, a couple conference finals have been like that. Other international games, Ecuador and Colombia do it every other year. Like it's still one of the best soccer stadiums in the country. So it had that energy, but it was 80% fans that for South Korea, 75%.
I've heard different numbers, but I've heard 80 a lot. So
Yeah.
You're pretty confident. It was like 8 out of every 10 fans there.
I was in the AO section, which was full US fans, and looking out, it was hard to identify other sections of US fans. So there were one-off fans, group of 2 or 3. There was no spot in the stadium outside of where I was standing where it was like, oh, that's all USA fans right there. And everything you saw was South Korean jerseys, scarves, LAFC jerseys, Tottenham jerseys. Like it was pretty locked in one direction. And then obviously they had a bit more to cheer for. So it's easier to hear them as well.
Isn't it refreshing? I mean, I'm sure you've been talking about U.S. soccer all the time. This program, we're talking about South Korea and the Sung Heung-Min, the impact. So we can get away from kicking the national team while they're down. Hey, you said some LAFC jerseys because I heard there were a fair amount. How many do you think there were in the building?
I made a joke on our show this morning on Soccer Wise with Tom that I think he was talking about how Son played on the field and how it'll affect how he'll play for LAFC as a center forward. And we can talk about that. And I said, the most noticeable thing to me when I walked in was how many of those jerseys with his name in Korean on the back have been sold. And clearly were sold in the New York, New Jersey area because they were everywhere. I don't know that they were equal to Tottenham jerseys yet, but they were pretty close. And it was outside of the South Korean national team jersey, the thing you saw the most. And I would say there were scarves as well. Like it wasn't just that one jersey. There was black and gold around the entire stadium. And then when you see the way the fans interact with him, you can understand why, like how big of a deal he is, how much, when he scored the goal, it was like insane. Like you couldn't hear anything inside your own head. And I'm in the US section. So where I was standing was quiet and it's just the roar of noise coming at you. And there was a ton of those jerseys. It was one of the first things I saw when I walked in was just 4 people, friends, family, I don't know, all wearing that same LAFC jersey.
You mentioned the noise because Dunseth was there and he texted me, goes, it's really loud in here. And I'm like, yeah. Because it's but I know it's built to hold that noise, but you're like the third person who's mentioned to me, goes, I was there and it was, it pushed you back. It
bounced. I mean, the building holds noise and it bounces. And It's odd, and we've been to a million soccer games, and sometimes it's better, sometimes it's worse. It had a very friendly atmosphere and noise in terms of a lot of people were there that probably aren't the most knowledgeable soccer fans. So it was this buzz that would grow when they realized Son was near the ball. So it came at weird times because it was like, oh, are they about to shoot? Like, are they in transition? No, they're going back the other way, but Son's on the ball. And so it would come at you, I think, kind of more unexpectedly than when you normally feel it. And I think that really grew. And I think that part really stood out of like, there were moments where I'm watching the game, I look down, I'm texting someone back, I'm talking to someone, and all of a sudden there's like this explosion of noise, and you look around being like, what did I miss? And the ball's at midfield, and then you realize like Son's dropped deep and he's gotten the ball, and that's where it comes from. And so I think that part felt different than a normal game you go to.
David Goss, someone's asking if David could introduce yourself. I said David Goss. I thought I gave a good introduction. Do you want to take a better shot at it?
Sure. Hi, I'm David Goss. I've covered MLS for 10 plus years. College soccer, lower divisions, CONCACAF, everything. I host a show called Soccer Wise with Tom Bogert and Jordan Angeli. And we just joined a larger media company called Kickback Media. So Susanna Fuller, or Susanna Collins, if anyone remembers from her days back at MLS and CBS, has joined us as a full-time host. And we have a number of other hosts that we rotate through and cover soccer, men's, women's, mainly North American geared. We have former LAFC midfielder Mark Anthony Kay as one of our co-hosts who comes on as well. And we just love soccer.
That was a much better introduction.
I have to do it more often because it's me.
Dude, I love it. But I hope you guys all took notes of that. That was how you do it. By the way, we have our fans tuning in. Craig wanted to say World Cup update, Belarus 0, Scotland 1. We're coming. Ryan Porch is not called up to the Scotland team, but he has hopes to make it. We hope Scotland can find a way there too, because it'd be a lot of fun to see them here in the U.S. Was that your first chance to see Son Heung-Min that close? I mean, I know you watched it. You watched the games that he's done and how he's been introduced as an LAFC player. What were your learnings? What do you take away from seeing him in the flesh?
I think I noticed it in the Chicago game the first time he played in MLS is the quickness. And like we've seen it his whole career, but I think watching it against guys that I've seen in person starts to give you the scale of like that explosion, that speed. And then I think seeing him in person, it's the size, like how big he is as a player, and then the runs and the constant movement and the constant runs. And Tom talked about this with me on my show, but the way he is always making diagonal runs and they're constantly through channels. And so he'll make it through the right back and the center back channel. Then he'll cycle back through and do through the left center back and the left back channel. And then he comes back through. And so I was behind one of the goals, being behind the goal. And it was the first half where he was doing all this activity. It was like constantly relocating him as a fan, just finding where he was. And then he matches up against Tristan Blackman and Tim Ream, right? We're talking about big, natural American center backs. And you realize just how physically tall he is, which is not the aspect of the game you think about with him.
That's a great shot. And I had some of those feelings when I saw him in the Chicago the first time ago. And the speed, it pops off the screen. We have David, I just want to let you know, this podcast is humming along really nicely. When Son Heung-Min signed, our numbers went through the roof with the Korean audience.
I can see the chat.
It's unbelievable. They're great. We're trying to get live closed captioning. It feels like the undiscovered country. When we get there, it'll be our eureka moment. They still come in here and they're wonderful. Can
I try something? So I grew up outside of New York, outside of Queens, on the train line that Flushing, Queens leads to. So a lot of my friends growing up were Korean because that's where they all initially start in the U.S. and then
big community there. Big
in my town.
Who's bigger, LA or New York?
I think most would say LA is bigger because I think LA's is also older. But I think when you go into Flushing Main Street, it feels like you're in Korea, is what I've been told, more so than any other place in the U.S. And then K-Town, like the 1 or 2 blocks in New York City, which I always go to. So the chant I was taught was Taemingguk, which apparently is the Red Devils. And we used to go watch the games. I used to go watch World Cup games in K-Town or in Flushing with my friends' families. And I've always been a Korea fan, so I'm here for it.
David, I had no idea.
I can't say anything else in Korean. That's it.
We're going to have to bring you back, man. Because I think our Korean audience likes you more than me already. That's amazing. Not that amazing.
I could just keep doing it.
Let's go. So a couple folks wanted to welcome you, David. That's very lovely. Victor Enriquez, is it bad? I was sort of rooting for South Korea this weekend.
Yeah, it's it's a tough team. So I'll say this: I brought fans who have never been to a soccer game before because we're starting this program.
And you live in New Jersey, just full disclosure, right?
Well, New York, I'm
New York.
from. Yeah. Watch out. No, I'm just kidding. I don't care. I'm from New York originally. I actually am currently in Miami for almost one more year, my wife's job. So we had to move down here, and I'm watching a hurricane roll in right now. Hence why my lighting keeps getting darker. Yeah, it keeps getting darker and lighter. I am right on Calle Ocho, right next to all the Cubans.
So best place to go.
If you need me to go get you something and eat in your honor or drink in your honor, let me know.
I want you to go do some salsa merengue at Ball and Chain right there.
I wish. I'm like 7-10 blocks from Ball and Chain. I could get there. I can't dance, but I could get there. So we brought these fans who have never been to a soccer game because we're trying to introduce people to soccer heading into the World Cup, give them an opportunity to sort of connect with the team and connect with everything. And they had the best time. But the fans was the experience they had. And you're talking to people who don't watch soccer, and they're seeing things with the U.S. men's national team that we talk about, and they're seeing it 20 or 25 minutes into seeing them play for the first time and like being novices to the sport. And that's where you're like, oh, whoa. Okay, this is like very blatantly obvious.
Wow. And the energy coming from the camps is so jarring because South Korea and the pageantry and the play, it's off the charts. This is an Inside LAFC podcast. We remind you to like the video, subscribe to the channel. David Goss of Soccer Wise joining us. Victor would follow up and say, I wanted to see Sun score. Well, you got that chance. Then Steven goes, was the Sonny goal not offside? And I thought, what did you think?
No, Tim Ream keeps him on.
Tim Ream, everyone was attacking Tristan Blackman, a former LAFC player, and it was a mess. But I thought Tim Ream, that's where you go, step up or something, and that could have been avoided. It wasn't. We had the Sun goal.
Yeah, it was 3 of the defenders were in a line, and Tim Ream wasn't. So it was a chaotic moment, as was the second goal. The second goal, Blackman and Ream end up swapped, left center back, right center back, in the middle of the play, which is a mess on its own. People aren't tracking runners. I thought Blackman was fine. I think he struggled with the spacing, and I think part of that was because of the speed and the play of game. But also, Serginho Dest as your right back in your national team debut against a team in which the best players on that team are the 2 wingers, the center forward, and the center back. So you got someone serving balls through the lines at all of their talent, and you're trying to deal with it is pretty tough. I thought Blackman was pretty confident in possession. I thought he put out a lot of fires over the top that if his athleticism's not there and he wasn't there, the U.S. was in trouble, or Matt Freese had to make a crazy play off his line. So I thought he was fine overall, but I have seen the heat that he has picked up.
Yeah. It happens. We won't get into that. David Day he said 2 MLS players on the Korean team. We have Sangbin Jong Sangbin, who came off the bench, plays for St. Louis, used to play for Minnesota. So more Korean players. I get the feeling that much like we saw Lionel Messi and Argentine players, and David pointed out 2 MLS players and start on the Argentina team, which is great. We're going to talk about the World Cup impact from MLS. That it is more maybe top Korean players will find a way here.
Yeah.
Heung-Min will put in a word, which so far he's happy. We'll see if that continues. Results matter.
It was odd to me because remember, of course, Seattle won an MLS Cup with the South Korean starting center back. And I said to them, like, oh, is this opening the door? YP Lee back in the day was a bit more of a like novice end of his career signing. But one of the issues that stood in the way was for Asian Federation teams, you have spots for your team that need to be domestic players. And then in Champions League play, you get extra spots for AFC players. And so for Qatari and Saudi and Iranian teams, Korean players are more valuable than they are to an MLS team. And what I've been told was MLS teams are just getting blown out of the water on salary because all these teams, once they qualified for Champions League in Asia, were saying, how can we get better? And for the most part, those countries, the domestic players are sort of tapped out. And so the big thing is, can you go find Asian players? That's why Australia moving into the Asian Federation, you've seen now all these Aussie players playing in Japan and playing in Dubai and playing in all these places because they're worth their weight in gold there in ways that they're not in other places. But I think with Sun coming and it opening people's eyes and the Korean national team looking at MLS and calling up players in MLS, that I think as the level continues to rise, I think a lot of players are going to want to come here.
He knows his stuff. David Goss Jun Cho says Bayonne. Is that where the Korean community is in that area?
Yes, Fort Lee is a big town, which is right off the GW Bridge, which is right there. Bayonne is a big town right south of that has it. Patterson, which is historically like a huge Latin area, has started to become Korean. There's a lot of neighborhoods around there. A lot of the families that used to live in Flushing have moved out to New Jersey. I think one of the ski resorts has been like fully taken over and been made into like a Korean ski resort.
Unbelievable. David from Korea says, nice to meet you, David. So David's
nice to meet one of my own.
And the Korean comments have come alight since you joined it. There's a little argument here about Pochettino's the manager. I'm grateful. What should we do? Pochettino is scary, LOL. It's not Pochettino's fault. So this Korean community knows Pochettino very well because of his time with Heung-Min. So, and then David would follow up. Wolverhampton's Hwang Hee-chan, who wasn't in the squad, is also in Jung Sang-bin's place. So he'd be a nice one maybe one day to come to MLS. We shall see. Yeah. But we are open for it. So it was a wonderful time. And David, there's this. The World Cup is huge, regardless of how the U.S. plays. We hope there's a good chunk of U.S. players. I want to talk to you about how MLS will look at the World Cup. And we have some really great front-facing players. You have Lionel Messi and Rodrigo de Paul. Argentina's qualified. They'll probably be in the starting 11. Son Heung-min, no question, leading Korea. He'll be here in the States so that Korean-U.S. relationship can grow. It's a 48-team World Cup, so there's going to be a lot of countries that will be served. I listed them. Maybe some of the guys from LAFC, like Nate Ordaz or Denny Bouanga, can make it in there. But numbers-wise, I'm thinking, is 150 too little, too much of players that will call MLS home?
Oh, wow. I mean,
can we set that as the over-under? Or is it that's probably too high?
I think at the last World Cup, MLS was top 3 or 4 leagues with players in the World Cup. That was a 32-team tournament. So now you're saying, like, if you take that number and you add, wow, I'm horrendous at math, but I guess if you add 50%, that's what you would be looking at in a 48-team World Cup. I would actually assume it will be even more than that because I
thought I was being a little bit modest.
Well, I think the block of teams that are coming in, right? The teams that have never been in a World Cup, the teams 32 through 48. Look at Venezuela. The Venezuelan national team is a literal MLS all-star team. It is former MLS players and current MLS players. I think I looked at it, the starting lineup in the Argentina game, 10 of the 11 players outside of the goalkeeper had played in MLS or currently play in Major League Soccer. And on that list, you have the Paraguays, the Uruguays, the Ecuadors, and then you go over and you look at Gabon and Senegal and Cameroon and some of the teams, DR Congo below that, which I think those players, there's a number of players who already play in Major League Soccer. I also won't be shocked if those are the countries where players are looking for playing time or looking for increased salary, or MLS starts to look its eyes over and say, all right, if we're going to go get a U22, why not get someone who's going to be playing here for their national team and playing in the World Cup? So I think that number's probably fairly safe. I don't think the 2014 thing will happen, which is like, how do we find as many stars and faces of national teams that we can get into the league? I don't think there'll be a concerted effort. I think it's just the reality, which is MLS is one of the most globally diverse leagues. It is one of the biggest leagues with 30 teams and continuing to expand. And then you also look at the diversity of the countries, Canada and the US, and where people feel comfortable and can come and live. Yeah, I won't be shocked if we're talking over 100 players into that 125, 150 area.
Unbelievable.
It also helps when the hosts are US, Canada, and Mexico.
Sure. And they'll have another World Cup at some point, but we got to take the most out of this. There's the discourse is great. Lee Kang-in we're getting like good Korean banter. Lee Kang-in needs to grow like Jae-sung. Stop dribbling and shaking your head. And someone responding about the U.S. team. This time, many European players were absent from the U.S., so the team was weak. So they know what's what. Although we still we're ringing the alarm bells here.
Pochettino, though, is saying this is the team I called up. Like, he is not saying this was a backup group or whatever. He is choosing. Everyone was available to him. I think there were some smart decisions, like Weston McKennie needs to earn his spot in his team, stuff like that. But in general, this was the group he chose to call up.
Someone is mentioning Pochettino is much better than Heung-Min Bo, who also played at MLS for the other LA team.
Yeah.
Joe has a question. He wants us to both answer it. For both of you, in terms of both men's national teams, South Korea and the U.S., what improvements are needed for each team to go furthest in the World Cup, formations, call-ups, etc.? You want to hit that one?
Yeah, I'll start with South Korea because I'm loving this. And the thing about South Korea, which worked well for them against the U.S., because I'll get to the U.S. in a second, is an ability to dictate games. I think South Korea allows opponents at the highest level, and when we're talking round of 16 and on, we're talking highest level, to dictate the games, and they play reactive. And at some point, you need to control the way the game's played, and you need to have some pattern of play, some moment, some pressing idea that helps you overtake things. I think that was the idea in chasing Jesse Marsch originally as the coach coming out of 2022, which I thought would have been a really nice addition. I assume that was the idea around Jurgen Klinsmann. That's its own monster that I'm not going to deal with right now. And so I think I think the idea is there. And now and I think you hear it in the conversation around Lee Kang-in, and it's like, there has to be moments where this team takes over. And it's not just, is there an opening for me to create space and shoot? On the U.S. side of things, they need to pick a thing that they do. Like, this was our conversation today. What is your staple? Who are you? What represents you? What are the moments of the game? And I think it should be out of possession. I think it should be high pressing. I think they should go out and say, we don't really care about the ball. We are going to try and press you off the field with the crowd behind us at a home World Cup and make you miserable. And if that's the case, I don't really care what the personnel looks like, as long as that part's drilled in.
This show's going to do great on the re-airs where you have all the subtitles. Really sophisticated South Korean conversation. I'll give you. Someone in Korea goes, I love the name Calle Ocho. It does roll off the tongue.
It is
great. You should go visit. Come to the U.S. Go down to Miami. You'll love it. Get some good Cuban fare. That's my background, by the way, too. So that was my hometown. So very good.
Know.
I knew you knew that. I was telling it to our listeners. For me, South Korea, first of all, Lee Kang-in, and I think one of the listeners did it. You got to get a better relationship between him and Son. I think those two guys, if they are clicking and there is chemistry, can take that team to where they can run with Brazil in around a 16 game or something like that. I would also have that Kim Min-jae, I'm sorry if I got the name wrong, needs to play regularly for Bayern. He's not doing that right now. They need a stalwart defender to lead that. He was really good in the last World Cup, putting out fires. He's a tremendous athlete, but I think if he doesn't get enough games, could be a problem. I love the fact that they didn't need the ball all the time. We're so efficient. They got to do that against really good teams as well. So, you raise that, and I think South Korea, I think they have round of 16 quarterfinalists certainly capable of doing that. I like Japan a little bit better. Don't shoot the messenger. I like them a little bit better coming out of Asia as a team that could maybe make a quarterfinals or better. But South Korean team have the talisman, have the good players at each position, and then see if they can keep developing some young players where it seems like the pipeline is going very well. For the U.S., and I know we're wrapping up here pretty soon, for the U.S., something has to be done about the star players, David. They've got to get them to buy in. I know that you said that Pochettino said this is the team he brought in, but I find it hard to believe that he had conversations, if he did have conversations with Jedi Robinson and Christian Pulisic and Weston McKennie and Johnny Cardoso, the top players, and felt that they were completely all in. I might be wrong, but I want them to run through a wall. I don't feel that. Pulisic in the game felt like a little detached. And Weston, when he comes in here, it kind of goes sideways a bit. Jedi Robinson, I understand, wants to get his body in shape so he can make a dream move to Liverpool or whatever it looks like. That top tier has to play so we can stop having conversations about our depth and the core guys, which right now doesn't feel I'm so optimistic about. They really have to come together, and it feels like it's a million miles away, unfortunately.
Yeah. It is a hard team to root for right now.
Yeah, TCM Hockey, their coach Hong did play MLS. One quick sweep here. There's one DP spot, but can Jae-Sung afford the salary LAFC? We'll see. We'll have to wait to the end of the season, but why not? So there's some Korean players they're trying. If you adjust Max's broadcast time, more Koreans will come. Duly noted. We'll see if we can move a little bit later because we know it's 4:30 right now. Quick thought about the game on the weekend, LAFC San Jose, Levi Stadium, packed house, David, and Son Heung-Min will be back. As we pointed out, he's been in so many cities. Add the Bay Area to the list.
Yeah, it's going to be epic. Levi Stadium has just been a spot that when San Jose commits to getting it filled and making an atmosphere, it is. And it feels like this NorCal-SoCal rivalry is something that everyone connects to so quickly. It'll be a fun game because San Jose can't defend. They're the highest scoring team in the league, and they just can't defend if they want to. So they choose not to. And I think LAFC with how, efficient they can be in their transition moments and how comfortable they are knowing what their next pass is and where they want to go can be really, really dangerous. So I expect a high scoring game. It's definitely a winnable game for both teams, would say that, but I think for LAFC, it feels like a should win match. And you look at the top of the Western Conference, like there's space to move in there. And so I think this could be a decent start to now you come out of the international window in this stretch run to close the season.
People pointing out big Korean community up in NorCal as well. No doubt about it. Levi Stadium, if I didn't say that correctly, Levi Stadium. Go check it out if you want to go see a game if you're in the U.S. And we know the Korean community is mobile to get out there. David Goss of Soccer Wise joining us. Appreciate your time. The questions and comments have been flying through, but we're up against it. But they want to talk to David. We remind you to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Thank you, David. Thanks for everyone tuning in. We'll be back again next Monday. Inside LAFC podcast live on LAFC YouTube and LAFC Facebook. Until we meet again, let's go black and gold.